Hey guys, what's up? Um, so there's a big issue with Christians and truth, obviously, and what is real and what is fake and what is right and what is wrong. A lot of people think, well, demonology and stuff doesn't even exist, but it's evil. So how can something that doesn't exist be evil? I guess it's just them imagining things and worshiping the wrong God, which is wrong. But the Bible doesn't say that things you shouldn't do aren't real. They just say you shouldn't do them. Okay? Now, for me, it's a little more complicated because I didn't grow up Christian. I was a very free thinker, mostly a Nietzschean in my 20s, and late teens. So I've always been just open-minded, and Christianity has always seemed to be closed-minded to me until I started getting into the true Christianity and seeing how all these churches are basically doing the opposite of what the Bible says, and that's why I felt so uncomfortable in church whenever I went to a friend's or something. Not to mention I emailed 50 churches about some of my truths, and none of them emailed me back. Okay, so... I did it all day. For one day, I just emailed churches about the Yahweh stuff, a lot of crazy stuff that I'm into. None of them emailed me back because none of them know anything about the Bible. They only know what their preachers' dads told them. Okay? And I'm not going to go by word of mouth my whole life. I'm going to go to the source. Okay, so when God says in Judges 5:20, the stars in their courses fought against Sisera, the king, that day. So when Christians say, A, astrology is fake and not real, that's wrong, because it says the stars in their courses fought against Sisera. And B, they say, well, if it's real, it's evil. That is what I'm talking about. If it's real, what does that mean? If it's real, why is it evil? And how is reading your horoscope, for example, the same as divination? To read your horoscope is not to make your life be some kind of thing that it's not against God's will. God gave you that horoscope, okay? And God said there's going to be signs in the moon and the sun and the stars, okay? That's literally what he says. Let the stars be as signs, not just for seasons, but as signs, okay? That's why the Leo lion is the lion of the tribe of Judah, Jesus, having his foot on the Hydra serpent constellation in the skies, which is Satan. And that's the very first prophecy in the whole Bible, Genesis 3:15. I'll put enmity between thy seed and her seed, and his heel will wound the head. Okay? So all that symbolism is there in the constellations, as we've seen. So again, astrology is not for divination, to create things like alchemy or something like that. It's to understand the times, and it's to understand the mood of the seasons. My many astrological truths that I've shown y'all over a span of 14 years. Okay, I can't just be making that stuff up because it's facts. It's a fact that Tupac has the same birth chart as his favorite historical character, Machiavelli. That's why Tupac called himself Machiavelli during the end of his life, because he was so connected to that military mind. Well, it wasn't just a cool Renaissance guy. They had the same astrological psyche. Their subconscious and their conscious was very alike. Okay, and when I predicted coronavirus 2 years before it happened, that's my only astrological prediction. In 2017 in December, I said in 2 years, December 2019, something crazy will happen. And that's when COVID hit, literally. So astrology is there for us it's there for us to become enlightened. That's why everyone's so lost and doesn't know what they want to do and just confused, because you have no purpose, because you don't know your true goals. Your goals are not the same as your parents' goals or your friends' goals or your brother, your cousin. You have your own goals, and if you don't know your drive, your weaknesses, and your strengths, it's going to be hard to kind of pinpoint that. Astrology, a lot of people, like Emerson says, people who look too much into their star signs invite the evils that they fear. And that may be the case. Okay, we may be my astrology says I'm shy, so I'm going to always be shy. And yeah, that's not how you're supposed to use astrology. That's infantile and childish. It's just there to say, hey, you have shy tendencies, so that is something to overcome. Overcoming your negative traits astrologically is essentially enlightenment. Okay, if it says all Aquariuses are know-it-alls and they need to connect with people personally more one-on-one instead of just broadly as humanity, if I, the more I can try and do that for myself, that's part of enlightenment for me. Whereas other signs may be too obsessed with other people and not caring about themselves and their own personal development as much. So that's their negative trait. So that's the whole concept of beyond good and evil. There's not one right attitude, one right action for every single situation. Just like Napoleon says, to each circumstance, its own law. Okay? But yeah, you shouldn't murder and steal and all that obvious stuff. But day-to-day, social interaction kind of things, astrology really helps you understand your limitations and your weaknesses, your strengths, your blah, blah, blah. So Christians used to be into astrology. I mean, the Catholic Church still has Easter like a certain time of the month when the moon is waning and all that stuff. And they say, don't look at the stars, but you have to do this when the stars are in a certain place. Like they're just hypocrites left and right. So if astrology doesn't mean anything, why are you celebrating Jesus' birthday on the winter solstice during all the sun gods' birthdays, coincidentally? Well, because Jesus wasn't born December 25th, and that wasn't even a thing until 300 years afterwards when Constantine, Roman emperor, said so to have political power over the Christians and the pagans. I mean, Christmas is a lie, and that's that simple to explain to people. Unless you're still telling kids that there's Santa Claus and elves and, eggs that lay chocolate, or bunnies that lay chocolate eggs. Like, you can do whatever you want, with your kids. But when they find out you were lying, they're like, well, yeah, it's just a thing. Everyone does it. Everyone lies to their kids just to have some fake form of nostalgia when they're adults, so they're too scared to admit Christmas is evil because it has too many warm, fuzzy feelings connected to it as an adult. What does that mean? Why would you raise someone in a lie? I mean, there's the Tooth Fairy, but then there's Christmas, which is about Christ's birthday. But you see Santa Claus. What does Santa Claus have to do with Christ? Like, kids are so confused, because we live in a world to confuse them instead of just telling them the truth from the get-go. Okay? We live in a culture of secularism, which means basically atheism, and that we're all in it for ourselves. But at the same time, I'm a Nietzschean Ubermensch kind of person, and we do need to, enhance ourselves and our spiritual and our mental capacities to its, full capacity. Like we're being taught to have an ego in the wrong places, and we're taught to only think of other people in the wrong types of places too. So we get egotism and altruism mixed up. And Nietzsche, of course, perfectly points out the contradiction between in America. He said America is a contradiction because it's capitalism, every man for himself, but also altruism and democracy. We're all equal. How can we be equal if we're trying to jump over the next person, in line? And then it's a question of, well, are we talking about financially equal, mentally equal, racially equal? We should all be racially equal, and we all should have the same equal opportunities. But that doesn't mean we're all equal, because we have dishwashers and we have presidents or whatever. However you judge the classes or whatever. Okay? For me, I don't care about your skin color, your gender, your race, your financial status. I care about your character and your astrological stuff. That's the only way I can be prejudiced, is astrologically. Like I can just tell when someone's really fake and say, oh, what do they have? What Capricorn do they have in them? I'm sorry. I mean, I have Capricorn in my birth chart too, so I can say that. But I'm talking about like Sun in Capricorn, Moon or Mars. I have Venus and Neptune in Capricorn, so it's a little different as far as personality goes and the fakeness. see. Yeah, well, anyway, just, normal concerns, first world problems. And we're so lucky to be able to have free time and to be able to binge watch TV shows and movies and whatever, whereas other people literally have to earn by the sweat of their brow, and then they have to deal with their family after work and all that stuff. I just work from home and I live alone. So I got a lot on my mind because God wanted it to be this way for me. I don't know why. Maybe he'll challenge me in different ways in the future, but right now he wants me to sit and think. And the more I do so, the less interested the world seems. I don't know if you noticed, but my views are always the same. It's never growing. It's most likely waning, because I'm not saying what people want to hear, are prepared to hear, or even understand it when they do hear it. They're like, well, what is he for, the Bible and astrology? Because you're always going to have someone who disagrees with one or the other in some kind of way until they've seen 100 of my videos. And then they're like, okay, maybe something. And then when they've seen 1,000 of my videos, they say, okay, well, hopefully I can't disprove any of that stuff. At what point is all the things I'm throwing at you not opinions, just facts in the right order? Okay? That's all it is to me. Facts in the right order. And God is just subconsciously, pointing there and here, and then I'll have to connect the two myself. But he's the one who showed me. It's like, okay, you're obsessed with Nietzsche? Cool, you'll get into Nietzsche for a while. But then in 2008, 2009, you'll see how Nietzsche fulfilled 5 different religious prophecies, and that he's a spiritual prophet for this world, not just some philosopher. Yeah. Yeah, what was that Bertrand Russell quote? He says, nowadays there's professors of philosophy, but not philosophers. So I feel like I'm filling in that gap, that void of, there are original things to figure out. It's just if you have a total biasm about some kind of New Age principle, or you hate Nietzsche as a Christian because he said God is dead, you need to open your mind and zoom out. Okay? It's one thing to be, like, obviously read someone evil like Charles Manson or Aleister Crowley, but those people in between, you need to open your eyes and listen to them. Okay? Especially if you know what you're talking about. A lot of people don't like to study anything else because they don't know how to defend themselves against it. So they just shut their eyes and their ears and pretend it doesn't exist. My job is to show you it's okay to look at it and they're both true, versus, oh, I'm here to show you how everything is wrong or whatever, so nothing means anything. No, I'm here to show you how culture is wrong because everything means something. And there is hidden truths out there that the church and the government and the atheists don't want you to know, or don't know themselves, so don't know how to tell you. Okay, I guess what I'm trying to say is very X-Filey. Truth is out there. Okay, but if truth isn't your goal, then I can understand why you're frustrated and upset and have no real direction in your life. Because if truth is the foundation of every other thing in this universe, if you start off with a lie, you have a foundation of sand, okay? And truth is going to get you everywhere. Like, if you're studying music theory, there's truths there that you have to study. You can't ignore them because they're facts. Same with spirituality. There's certain spiritual things that you can calculate and that are incumbent upon your attitude and what you know or don't know yet. Okay, like if I should tell you one thing, then you're going to see it everywhere. Like when LeGrocq said the San Onofre power plants are hidden in all these movies and commercials, because that's where the Stone of Daniel 2, the Star of Revelation 9, whatever that is, it's going to hit San Onofre power plants in San Diego, California. So when he told me that, a month later, I watched a movie called Cloud Atlas, and in the first 5 minutes, you see the San Onofre power plants in it. So it's like once you know something, you can't unknow it, and now you're just trapped in the responsibility of truth. Okay, like with great power comes great responsibility. With great truth comes, Emerson says wisdom is nothing but courage. Okay, and yeah, some of the stuff I say might scare you, but in a week's time you'll be like, man, I'm so glad I know that now. Now I'm not deceived. Now I'm not someone who's just, a wheel in the cog. You are someone who can affect change. And I hate to use the term influencer because it's really trendy. But anyway, you're a philosopher. You're a truther. You can help. Not everyone is meant for this type of a lifestyle. Of just the lifestyle meaning your job is whatever. But I'm looking for truth on my off time. And I have to pay the bills in the meantime. Those people who can pay the bills while searching for truth, good for y'all. People actually care about your findings and pay you for them. That's great. But money is not my driving force. I'm only here to survive. Like, money, we all worry about it, but it's all about truth, okay? But I also live very simply. I don't have huge, wants and needs, even though I have like an iPhone or the Xbox or whatever. I took time to save up for that stuff. It wasn't just handed to me, okay? Because I don't spend it on all this other crap, like going out clubbing or spending $50 on a steak just for dinner, just because people get girlfriends so they can like save money together, but what happens is you're just spending money on that person that you could have kept for yourself anyway. So I'm just saying, like, just a lot of guys fall into the trap of just being lonely, so they think they need a woman or a man, or if you're gay or whatever. Like, it's one thing to be lonely, but it's another to live a lie. Okay, so those are the two decisions you got. My opinion. Let's see. Yeah. Yep. So, anyway, I'll let y'all be for now. I know I'm not just playing Cyberpunk all day, I'm doing other stuff, but I just feel like posting those videos sometimes because they're so fun. I think it's the funnest first-person shooter game I've ever played. Even if there's all these errors and stupid crap that I hate, in the end, it's freaking awesome. But I'm an escapist, and I'm obsessed with Blade Runner. And I'm seeing a lot of, synchronicities in Cyberpunk, that are tied to my life, Like, my last name is Villar, starts with V, so the main character's name is V, if you're a boy or a girl. And my name's Ben, so there's a Benita Street and a Rio Benito Street. I thought that was cool. And one mission has you go into a hotel room 210, which is my birthday, like 3 times. You have to go in that same room a couple times for the Lizzie Rockstar Girl, whatever. 210 is also a number because you have to pay off $21,000 to this guy Victor, who's a person who does your edge running stuff. So 210 is a common number in the whole thing. And there's Nietzsche quotes all throughout it, like what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and stuff that people think is just common knowledge. No, that was Nietzsche. He said that. Okay. Anyway, a lot of little stuff like that. That makes me, narcissistic and into it. But hey, if I wasn't narcissistic, I wouldn't have found all these other truths in between. A lot of people are like, well, you can find any number you want if you just search hard for it. No, you can't. The Bible is a string of numbers that happens to tell the greatest story ever told. Aleph is 1, Bet is 2, Gimel is 3. That Gematria numerical system was in place before the Bible was even written in Hebrew cultures, as well as the Greek culture. Alpha is 1, Beta is 2, Gamma is 3. That was already a thing. And then these Bibles were written afterwards in order to hide the codes. And if you think some smart genius math guy did that, you're highly mistaken. It can only be divine. It's intelligently designed. It's God. Okay, God is the only one who could hide the amount of codes I've found, in that small limited space of text. And it's not like I have 100 videos of Gematria showing that stuff. And Gematria just throws everyone off, because mathematician atheists hate it, because it implies that the Bible isn't just some dumb book to oppress people. And biblical people don't really like it because they hate science in the first place, and they just think faith makes blessed. Well, God said to you, love him with all your heart and soul and mind, okay? God didn't say, just have faith and don't worry about it. He said, no, study to show yourself approved. And the church's philosophy is basically the exact opposite of that. Yeah. I mean, Jewish too, Muslim, Islam, like it's all an agenda. All religion is some kind of money-grubbing way to oppress your mind and your soul, and your life, really. But the Bible is about striving for truth and knowing you're going to struggle for it, and people aren't going to like you for it. Whereas these churches are like, if you're a Jesus follower, everything will be fine. It's all going to work out. No. It says Christians are persecuted the most. I send you a sheep amidst wolves, and you're telling them to pray for money and to have a great life? This prosperity gospel is the complete opposite of what Jesus taught. The prosperity comes when you're dead in heaven. It doesn't come now when you're being persecuted by wolves. It just doesn't make sense. Okay? Not to mention the whole Yahweh thing, which I got to mention at least once. And yeah, there's a character in Cyberpunk named Yahweh, which I thought was just kind of weird. Okay, but, it's just these little things. A million little things add up to one big thing. And as Nietzsche says, if you affirm one instance, you not only affirm yourself, but all of existence. And I've affirmed a few instances in my life. I've said, yes, that means something. That has to prove that something means something. And just that one time, even though I think I've discovered a couple of them, if you just do it once, it means everything means something in some kind of way. Okay? So I'm here to try and keep finding them truths, you know what I'm saying? Time's running out, y'all. All the signs are here. Weird weather in diverse places. The falling away. More and more people are getting away from the faith, and the ones that are Christian have the wrong faith. And Christmas is pagan, Easter is pagan, predestination is real. God doesn't love everybody. Yahweh is Satan. That's why he killed kids in the Old Testament, and that's not the same loving, perfect Father that sent Jesus later on. And Jesus literally negates the Old Testament God 6 times in Matthew 5. So how are his Father and Jesus one if he says eye for an eye, I say turn the other cheek? That's not one. That means he's disagreeing with Yahweh for some reason. So the only logical explanation is Yahweh is Satan. And the Elohim of Genesis 1 is the true God. And Yahweh showing up in Genesis 2:4 all of a sudden, that's when there's animal sacrifices. That's when there's Eve and the reptilian mixing of iron and clay and the flesh and stuff. Okay? It's real. Okay, there's a big conspiracy, and the Bible is a puzzle. 2 Thessalonians 2:11 says, for this cause I shall send a strong delusion that they should believe a lie, and that all who had pleasure in the lie and didn't have truth and didn't have the love of truth and righteousness, they'll be damned. So yeah, God is sending a lie to test us, and part of that lie is Yahweh being Satan and Christmas being pagan and all these other things that millions of other Christians have no clue about and don't care even when you tell them. Well, you're going to care when the stone of Daniel 2 hits and wonder why you weren't raptured. Okay? I'll see you after the New World Order. I mean, I'm probably won't be raptured. I'm a very negative person sometimes. Just because I'm good at truth doesn't mean I'm good at being a good person. Like, yeah, I can find out Bible codes, but it's still hard to connect, with people who, and it's still hard to preach truth to strangers without thinking they're judging you. Like, everyone has something to work on, and that goes again to astrology, okay? A time to be born, a time to die. Christians say, your time of birth doesn't matter. That's not what the Bible says. Okay? Yeah. Anyway, I think that's it for today. Y'all have a good day, and go listen to the Mars Volta.